So here in the United States, our reaction to Paris has been, in some ways, unfortunate. The attacks were horrific, and we should take action to find the people who did it, bring them to justice. Some are already, of course, caught and killed. Some blew themselves up. But there's an international manhunt for some of the others in Europe. So our reaction here in the U.S. by some of the governors is, okay, panic. We're closing our own internal borders within the states. But not to ISIS, against Syrian refugees. Okay, so here are the number of states who have already done that immediately, right after the attacks in Paris. Alabama, Michigan, Texas, Arkansas, Louisiana, Mississippi, Massachusetts. They now have a Republican governor. Congratulations. Indiana, Illinois, Ohio, Florida, North Carolina, Arizona, Georgia, and Wisconsin. All saying, we will not be taking Syrian refugees. First, let's quickly point out that the Syrian refugees are running from ISIS. Those are the guys who are running away from them. Well, ISIS could sneak some people in. Apparently, ISIS could get a whole bunch of people who were born and raised in France, which is the majority of the attackers in the Paris attacks, to do their bidding for them anyway. So they could also do it with people that are already in the country. So they don't need to sneak refugees in. The overwhelming majority of them are, by the way, some of them are Christians and Muslims, because I know, like, Muslims, no sympathy. Oh, probably bad guys. Ooh, Christian refugees. I didn't think about that. Oh, we should let those guys in. In fact, that's what Ted Cruz said. Ted Cruz said, well, I mean, Muslims, obviously, we're going to block. But if there are any good Christian refugees, those guys we should let in. Great, a religious test. Wonderful. Got the American ideal right there, Ted. There was a governor that stood against the time, though, Tom Wolf from Pennsylvania. He said, we must not lose sight of the fact that families leaving Syria are trying to escape the same violence and unimaginable terror that took place in Paris and Beirut. That is exactly right, Governor Wolf, with some real courage here in America. Now, another guy who backed that claim up was President Obama, also partly referring to Cruz, saying we should let in the Christians but deny the Muslim refugees running away from ISIS. By the way, speaking of which, the last 3 out of 4 major attacks across the world that ISIS has done has been at mosques. There's 43 people killed in Beirut, mosque attack in Iraq, mosque attack in Saudi Arabia. In fact, according to a counterterrorism report here in the U.S., back in 2011, latest numbers we had, 82 to 97% of the victims of al-Qaeda back then and similar numbers, I imagine, for ISIS today is fellow Muslims. So they kill Muslims more than anything else. That's why the Muslims are running away from them. You see, there's a war there where ISIS is killing other Muslims. I say 82 to 97 based on those 2011 numbers. But the reality is today's the numbers are almost certainly much, much higher. There's some Yazidi in there. There's some Christians in there. But overwhelmingly, they hit Muslims. That's why the Muslims are trying to come to a place of hope called America. That's what President Obama emphasizes as well.
When I hear political leaders suggesting that there would be a religious test for which person who's fleeing from a war-torn country is admitted, when some of those folks themselves come from families who benefited from protection when they were fleeing political persecution, that's shameful. That's not American. It's not who we are. We don't have religious tests to our compassion.
Now, if you're a true Christian, what do you think about that? I'll get to that in a second. But first, let me quote a woman that came here to America from France, the Statue of Liberty. It says on her plaque, here at our sea-washed sunset gates shall stand a mighty woman with a torch, whose flame is imprisoned lightning, and her name, Mother of Exiles. The name of the Statue of Liberty, Mother of Exiles, as now all these shameless governors across the country tell us that we should reject the exiles. We should listen to the French and what they originally said when they sent the Statue of Liberty over. By the way, these are the same Republicans who told us we should change the name of French fries to freedom fries, and that the French didn't know what they were doing and when they told us not to go into the Iraq War. It turns out the French did know what they were doing. If we had listened to them in the first place, there probably would be no ISIS today if we didn't unnecessarily start that war in Iraq. But at the time, right-wing talk show hosts were pouring French wine into the gutters, and they were calling John Kerry French. Tom DeLay, Republican leader at the time, would start every speech with, as John Kerry would say, bonjour. Ha ha ha. They love to make fun of the French. Today they turn around and say, oh yes, we are with our oldest ally, France. No, you're not. You've made fun of the French your whole life. You've been derisive towards them when they try to help us as a friend to get us out of that mess that we were getting ourselves into with Iraq. You slapped them across the face. So save me your crocodile tears about how much you love France, okay? That's not remotely true. One more quote from the Statue of Liberty in case you're confused. Give me your tired, your poor, your huddled masses yearning to breathe free, the wretched refuse of your teeming shore. Send these, the homeless, tempest tossed to me. I lift my lamp beside the golden door. That's what America stands for. And if you're a true Christian, then I would point you towards Psalm 82:3-4. Give justice to the weak and the fatherless. Maintain the right of the afflicted and the destitute. Rescue the weak and the needy. Deliver them from the hand of the wicked. So if you think ISIS is the wicked, then I think this is the time to rescue people from the wicked. Whether you're a true Christian or a true American is up to you.